Williams here again off the bench, as you know, 16 points and 7 assists. Maybe the bigger story here with the Clippers is the status of Paul George, who it seemed almost casual the way Doc Rivers stated the other day that we're not going to have Paul George due to these double shoulder surgeries he had in the offseason for the first 10. Well, we take a look at the first 10 here for the LA Clippers, and man, oh man, the schedule makers did not do Doc Rivers and company any favors for the teams that they have to play.
Yeah, it's going to be tough coming out the shoot, and it's going to be tough when you don't have a healthy Paul George to start the season. And then another tough thing, how do you manage Kawhi Leonard minutes? Because we know Kawhi just won a championship with load management.
Right.
So you look at how tough this schedule is, and you look at those games on the road, and the thing about the Western Conference, it is so tough from top to bottom. That's going to be the trick. Yeah. Start off with the Lakers. It doesn't get any tough, and then you go to Golden State. Phoenix, who's going to be much improved. Charlotte is who they are, but then you got Utah, San Antonio, and Utah, Milwaukee, Portland, and Toronto. That is a brutal
first 10 games.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to have Paul George, it seems, for those first 10.
Well, guess what?
There's no guarantee you have him for the first 20 either.
But that's okay. As tough as that first 10 games are, at some point during the season, you're going to have a block of 10 or 20 games where the schedule's going to flip. So it's not going to be as tough. And that's the thing about the NBA. Whatever it takes early, it gives back late.
Right, but Paul George, as great as he is, and we know how good he can be, and we know obviously how great Kawhi is, the chemistry factor, though, and like you just said, you can't give away a single game in the Western Conference. What? How long is it going to take this team, once they get full strength, to gain the chemistry they need to challenge for a title?
Well, the only guys that really got to form the chemistry is Kawhi and Paul George. The rest of those guys going to fit in around those two guys. And that's what people don't understand, Jerry. They think it's got to be a chemistry with all 15 guys. No. Those other 13 guys in that locker room, they understand who are the top two guys in that team. So they're going to curtail their game around Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And when Paul George comes back, trust me, Kawhi Leonard is going to gladly give some of the load up to Paul George, because one of the reasons why he wanted to play with another guy that can play both ends and kind of a mirror of himself is because he don't want to have to shoulder the load for 48 minutes every night.
Well, there's a lot of depth, a lot of versatility there in that lineup, and we'll see what happens moving forward with Doc Rivers. He's going to have to use a lot of different lineup combinations, at least out of the gate, with Paul George, at least for 10 games to be out.
The Clippers are deep. When you start looking at guys like Mo Harkness and6 like that, they are a deep
Gruder, who didn't play.
Yeah, so they can survive these guys missing some games.
All right, a team that doesn't have that type of depth, right down the hall, the Lakers. We thought on Sunday we were going to get an Anthony Davis update on his thumb, which he injured in China. However, there were some complications with the Lakers getting back to L.A. from China on time, so they pushed the MRI from Sunday to Monday. The initial report is just a sprain, no ligament damage, but again, we wait for the MRI. How nerve-wracking is this for you to look at, right out of the gate here, we're talking about an Anthony Davis injury?
Well, it's going to be tough because of his history. So if you're the Lakers, you're holding your breath. I think at the end of the day, AD is going to be fine. Look, he's excited about these seasons. A lot of people have him picked as their preseason MVP of the league. I think he's going to be fine. But the tough thing that's going to be tough for this Laker team is they don't have the depth like this Clipper team. So every time a guy like LeBron James or Anthony Davis get nicked up or miss some games, it may be a struggle for them to win. And the thing about it, Jerry, this is going to be key. As tough as the West is, how do you rest your players? Because if you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, you can go from a possible in the top 4 to the bottom 4. And we all know those top teams, absolutely, those top teams, it's not important that you win the West, but it's important that you at least get that first round at home.
Well, we'll get you the latest on Anthony Davis as soon as we have it. We want to let you know you can watch the Lakers right here on NBA TV as part of our Monday night preseason doubleheader. Warriors-Lakers, these two getting together a bunch in the preseason. That's at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. That follows the Hornets and Grizzlies. That's Monday night right here on NBA TV. We got plenty more to do on this edition with Coach Sam Mitchell. More highlights from a busy Sunday, including the Markelle Fultz Bowl. How about that? You got the Magic taking on the NBA preseason calendar, and we appreciate you being with us here on this 30-minute edition of Game Time. He's the former coach of the year, Sam Mitchell. I'm Jared Greenberg. 7 games on the schedule, but there's one marquee man wherever he goes.
Let me guess.
Who is it?
Zion Williams.
Well, there he goes after a tremendous performance against Rudy Gobert and the Utah Jazz the other night, where he scored 26 on 9 of 12 shooting. This night against the short-handed San Antonio Spurs, and again, Zion picking up right where he left off.
Yeah, Jared, I mean, he lives in the paint and he understands that he can get wherever he wants to go. But again, a little chink in the armor. That's that shot that's going to plague him.
We'll talk more about that in a moment, but here, creating offense by way of the defense, and Lonzo Ball putting it up, and Zion finishing.
Who do you think they're going to give that basket to?
Gotta be Zion or Brandon
Just
Ingram.
look at the power right there in the paint. Explosive for a guy that's only 6'6 and a half, 6'7.
But here's a little issue here. The Pelicans, again, dig themselves a big hole and need to dig out of it. They do it, though. That's the good news. Lonzo Ball to Zion Williamson. Zion with 12 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, he's just showing different ways he can score the basket. He's scoring in transition. And then this is the thing that I love about this kid. He just goes and gets it off the glass and then just puts it right back with power and finesse.
Just living in that paint. You see DeRozan there, not happy with the Spurs, who are giving up this lead. Zion again attacking.
Yeah, I mean, just one-on-one. Once he gets you on his hip, he's so quick and powerful, he just drops you off at the basket.
Courtesy of Zion's first career, albeit preseason, double-double. They dig out of a 17-point hole to remain unbeaten. The Spurs winless so far through 3 preseason games. Now listen, they didn't have LaMarcus Aldridge. They didn't have Rudy Gay. Want to point out one other rookie, Alexander Walker. How good has he been? 13.7 assists, 5 rebounds. Let's hear from Coach Gentry on Zion, who has been on fire over the last few games here in the preseason.
You know, he's a hard-working kid. He's going to be fine. I'm not worried about him. You know, he puts in the work. He knows that everything changes in a week when we go into the regular season. He's prepared for that, you know. I mean, it's not like the kid hadn't seen a ton of big moments. So he'll continue to get better because he works at it, as I said. And, you know, he's a smart basketball player. So, you know, there's going to be some tough times. You know, there's tough times for everyone in this league. So I think he's mentally tough enough to handle those anyway.
They're really trying to downplay in New Orleans the hype of Zion. Listen, I get it's just the preseason, but when you're shooting nearly 81% from the field and scoring nearly 26 points over 3 NBA games, I don't care whether
only 27 minutes a game.
Right. What's impressed you the most about Zion these last 3 games here?
Well, Jared, nothing's impressing me. I said this from the beginning. I've known this young man since the 10th grade, and he's smart. He understands who and what he is. And again, when people looking at the stats saying, well, he's not shooting a lot of jump shots. Now, I understand. But let me take a guess. The last guy that don't shoot a lot of jump shots, Giannis, what did he just win?
The MVP.
The MVP of the NBA. Look, Zion Williams is going to add that jump shot to his game. But right now, the toughest thing for him is, Jared, and you can understand this, when you know you can shoot 70 to 80% once you take the ball to the basket and get in the paint, that no one can stop you, it's difficult to make yourself shoot that jump shot. And this is the tough thing about it. Even though players are bagging off him from me to you, he's still so quick and powerful that he gets by him anyway, because once he gets him on his hip, he just goes through him. So the tough thing for Zion is when do I continue to add that jump shot? And at some point, Alvin Gentry, early in the season, he's going to reinforce what Zion Williams does great. Take the ball to basketball. As the season goes on, I expect to see Zion start taking more jumpers, because you don't want him to wait until year 3 or 4 into his career to understand that he's going to need that jump shot.
Well, what we've seen, he's certainly understanding what his strengths are. We've seen him be able to distribute the basketball, but we're also seeing him play some moments and some minutes, and big minutes here, at the 5 position.
Well, I think Alvin is using him at that position more so offensively. Look, it's going to be tough defensively, because as explosive as he is, he's only 6'7". And once a big guy bags you down in that paint, and it takes a while for young guys to learn how to use their body and play post-NBA defense. But the good thing about it, when you're small, you can trap and rotate. So, but on offense, think about it. How do you match up with Zion Williams? Because he can break in the center down. Yeah, you can back up off of him and force him to shoot the jumper. But when he comes at that center standing flat foot and breaks him down and now forced to help, he's a really good passer. So he's going to beat you in a lot of ways. And I know Zion, he doesn't care whether he beats you scoring or passing. He just wants to win.
By the way, I want to point out something that Alvin Gentry said after the game on Sunday. let's also note, he said, that LaMarcus Aldridge didn't play. And
well, it's the preseason.
It's a preseason,
yeah.
And LaMarcus is probably one of the more underrated defenders in this league, and would have been interesting to see.
And veterans don't play hard in the preseason. They play hard, but they play cautious, okay? So let's just tap the brakes a little bit. But what we're seeing from Zion is going to be legit because he's going to play 32 to 35 minutes a game.
All right, let's move on to another big story around the NBA. The Clippers, Doc Rivers celebrating birthday number 58, and his birthday present to his stars. You guys can sit and not have to play this game against Melbourne. Patrick Beverley did play. No Kawhi. You know about Paul George. We'll talk about him in a moment here. But how about Montrezl Harrell? His role on this team.
Well, he's going to be huge for me. Look, they've added all this talent. Montrezl is one of those versatile guys. He can play the 5, he can play the 4. And the thing that I love about him, he changes the game with his energy and his toughness, and he plays both ends. So when you look at this Clipper team and you're looking at the role that Doc has carved out for these young men, or rather say he's carved out for himself, he's made himself one of those glue bots.
Zubats as well is maybe the starting center. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds. Take you to the third quarter. Jerome Robinson.
Oh.
How about that? Exploding.
Better shine when you get the chance, young fella.
Taking the escalator to the rim there. Then back to Montrezl Harrell, who had himself a night off the bench, as always. 22 points,